Welcome to another episode of Misfit History. Today we'll be doing part 2 of the Amish Anthology, which is really not much about the Amish and has been more about like a few very isolated cases of Amish murderers and criminals and criminals and all the other things you have for them. It's been a few weeks since we recorded part 1, but you'll be seeing this 1 week after part 1, recorded September 17th, 20 whatever date I said. Now, in part 1, we discussed the history of the Amish, Jacob Amen, the founder of the Amish, a couple of other Anabaptist interesting stories, Jonas Stutzman, who wore all white and was a weirdo, but very harmless and fun weirdo from all accounts, and, of course, Edward Gingerich, who was less fun and more weird. So, we'll be sticking more on the theme of Edward Gingerich. These 3 stories are, crime can be fun and flirty. These ones are not that fun, to be honest. These are rough. Well, the last one's kind of fun. But we're talking about these 3 handsome gentlemen you see on your screen right now.
The last one's a little scary looking.
He's the one that's fun.
He's the most fun one. It's funny, the one on the left, the one on the left, oh, how handsome do you think that fella is, Hannah? No? You wouldn't say he's not doing it for us?
I'm not too sure about that.
What's your thought on him? He's a good looking man right there. Well, with no further ado, Misfit History presents Amish Anthology Part 2. And we're starting with the Amish Stud.
The Amish Stud.
Oh my
The Amish
goodness.
Stud. The scene. It was June 2nd, 2009, in Apple Creek, Ohio, just 1 state over from where we are recording this, here in Pennsylvania. A young boy woke. Maybe only 9 years old. It was around 6 a.m. He got up because he was like, hey, Mom didn't get me up. Amish get up very early because it's a farm.
Yeah.
And he was like, man, I got to sleep until 6 a.m. today. I got to go make sure Mom gets up so that we can get the chores done. Like collecting eggs, milking the cows and everything before it gets too late. And he went to his mother's bedroom where he found her lying alone. Tried to wake her up. She didn't wake up. And he thought she was just sleeping very heavily when he noticed blood. She'd been shot through the chest. And, all 5 children were in the house. And none of them had heard a thing.
How?
Well, this is one of the first things is, that means it had to have been a quiet gun of some variety. But it also means there probably wasn't much of a struggle or a fight. It means it probably just happened while she was sleeping.
Yeah.
But the thing with Amish homes is they're made of very thick wood usually. Mm-hmm. And to help insulate it, they usually hang thick quilts from the walls to keep like the heat in.
Yeah.
And that means that sound is very well insulated because thick quilts are very good soundproofing. Now, she was alone because her husband, Eli Weaver, was away on a fishing trip at Lake Erie with a few other Amish people, and they had a non-Amish friend with them who had helped arrange the trip, and they reached out through cell phone to contact, and his reaction was described by the police. They said it was emotionally flat when he was informed that his wife had been shot and killed. That's to set the scene. An Amish woman got shot essentially hitman style.
Yeah.
In her sleep. Her husband's away on a fishing trip. One of his friends has a cell phone and is able to get contacted about it, and he does not seem too freaked out about it. And so they start investigating. And the Amish community initially didn't want them to. because the Amish don't like working with the police that much. But the
Yeah.
police were like, this is a murder. We have to investigate. We can't let you guys rule it. So they had a couple of ideas. They were like, it has to be maybe a random intruder. But there was a stack of cash left on the dresser, completely untouched. So whoever came in and did this was not doing it to try to steal. They thought, well, let's start looking into who this Eli fella is. And reports said that he was not exactly happy being Amish. And he frequented bars, which is a very big no-no. And they thought, maybe this guy made someone jealous and had an English rival, go and try to maybe get some revenge or something. Maybe they thought it was Eli sleeping and shot in their sleep. They like, maybe it's just some random person that disliked Eli or his wife for some reason. But his wife was not too, like, there was nothing to be unlikable about her. She was just a very normal woman in the Amish community. And that's when they found out something. Eli had a cell phone. He was not only a somewhat, I guess, out there Amish fellow and attending bars.
Yeah.
He had a cell phone. And on his cell phone, there was a secret phone call claiming to be a hitman that was trying to kill Eli. A voicemail saying that they tried to kill Eli and mistakenly got the wrong person. And they'll get him next time. And investigators listened to that and were like, yeah, that wasn't a hitman. That was a staged phone call by someone trying to make it look like Eli had nothing to do with this murder or was the intended target. And that's when they found that Eli had a long call history with another woman named Barbara, not his wife, named Barbara Raber, who was Mennonite, not Amish, and drove Eli around. Kind of like a taxi service, frequent associate of Eli's. And then Detective Michael Maxwell. We need to put in some music when we get to a detective name, because this is a great detective name, isn't it?
Yeah.
Detective Maxwell discovered that the basement door, because they have like the outdoor cellar openings that connect into the house, was left unlocked. So literally an open door, and that's how there was no breaking and entering to get into the house despite all the other doors being locked.
Yeah.
Someone had left the cellar door unlocked, and the killer knew that and went in through the cellar door to get in through the basement into the house. So as they investigate, that led them to finding out just what type of double life Eli had. So Eli was on online chat rooms calling himself the Amish Stud. Handsome fellow, am I right? And his mistress Barbara, who drove him around,
Is that her?
is the woman on the left. This is some Uggo on Uggo action, am I right? It's so... This is... What a stud and his lady, am I right?
Yeah.
That's why I was asking that. He had a secret cell phone that Raber had given him to help arrange sexual encounters with English women under the name Amish Stud. I know it sounds like I'm bullying. One, these people are horrible, so it's okay.
Yeah.
But two, he's not a stud. So Eli and Barbara had a relationship going on for several years, despite the fact that not only was Eli married with 5 kids, Barbara was married with 3 kids.
Oh, wow.
Eli felt trapped by the Amish law that prevented divorce, even though he had wanted a divorce from his wife for a while, and he'd been shunned twice for cheating previously. Police didn't know that when they first started their investigation because the Amish didn't keep track of records on that. But he'd been kicked out of the church multiple times and had to repent and return if he wanted to see his kids again. And this is where the digital paper trail became a problem. because although they both were savvy relative to many in their community, technologically speaking, this was an Amish man and a Mennonite woman trying to plan a crime digitally and cover their tracks. And so they found more than 800 searches on her computer, on Barbara Raber's computer,
Bruh.
of how to poison using bleach, Tylenol, insulin, how to silence a shotgun.
Oh my goodness.
The worst part of it all was her husband, Barbara Raber's husband, who had no involvement in the case. It was his shotgun they used. So she'd been having an affair on him for years with the Amish Stud. She took his 410 shotgun, which is a very quiet one.
Yeah.
Used her newfound knowledge on how to silence one. And then on the night of the murder, Eli used his secret phone and texted Raber saying, "Take a light with you, hon." I don't know, man. Every time I see her face, I have trouble reading this. I'm sorry. It's so rough. Take a light with you, hon, and confirmed that he was leaving for his fishing trip. He also noted that which door she should go through to avoid leaving evidence of her being there. They found that she forgot to grab the shell casing after shooting Barbara Weaver, which meant they could tie it back to the shotgun that she used. And then, upon finding using more evidence and also phone records, because they can track locations and find that she was in the area. This wasn't the first time she came to the house. 3 weeks earlier, she had stalked around the house, but apparently lost her nerve to go in and actually do it. And so after getting all of this forensic evidence, Eli decided to take a plea deal. The other thing is he's like a whole head shorter than his lawyer, too. So the Amish Stud was like short as well. Yeah. He's like just the ugliest dude.
I think it's a lady that's getting me. Like,
dude, I mean,
you're gonna cheat on your wife, at least, you know.
Yeah, it bothers you less if it's like Scarlett Johansson Avengers, am I right? I don't know, it would bother me more, for sure, if it looked like that.
Yeah.
And her mugshot, dude,
it was bad.
Well, that's her mugshot right there. That other one was a different picture.
I didn't see
the one at the bottom.
She
right.
looks like an old lunch lady.
Bruh.
Like,
now, their trial was interesting because Eli took a plea deal in September 2009. He pled guilty to complicity to commit murder and agreed to testify against Raber to avoid a life sentence. And in his testimony, he said that he was the manipulated party, that Raber used his desire to get out of the Amish community, his love for her, and other like interpersonal things. She cited his kids, that he wouldn't see them if he just left the community, and tried to say she was the driving force behind the violence. Raber's defense was that Eli was saying that she could leave her husband, but he wouldn't be able to leave his wife without losing his kids. And so she had to do this if they wanted to be together. So the two of them were testifying against each other, saying that the other one was the person who was responsible. And so essentially the trial showed that, or tried to show that Eli, this Amish Stud, was just a master manipulator getting someone else to do his dirty work.
Yeah.
The Amish Stud. It's so bad. It's genuinely, it's a rough looking couple. It's a rough looking couple. It's never hot ones.
No.
It's never hot ones. So neither of them were fully let out. Eli was sentenced to 15 years to life. Barbara was convicted of aggravated murder, sentenced to 23 years to life, which feels low still.
I know.
She went in and shot a lady who was not Barbara was not. Also, they're both Barbara. He had a thing for Barbaras, I guess.
Oh, his wife's name was Barbara too?
Yeah, Barbara Weaver and Barbara Raber. Barbara Raber was convicted of aggravated murder and only got 23 years to life. The community aftermath, so the community did not accept him.
I would.
If they did, I think they'd have a problem.
They are raising his kids completely shielded from the media. That's why I didn't know the name of which one it was. We know it was the oldest one, but there's conflicting reports. I did find a source that said his name was Wayne, but I don't think that sounds like an Amish name. So
Not really.
I don't know. Many Amish family members have expressed personal forgiveness because they're required to, but officially taken the stance that he will not be permitted to return to the community.
Yeah.
It also had a lot of internal debates getting sparked from this case about potentially being a little more lax with divorce, especially since he had already cheated a few times, and it might be unsafe for Amish women if men who are wanting to leave feel like this is the only way they can get divorced. So where are they now? As of 2026, Eli's still incarcerated at Grafton Correctional Institution. He was denied parole in 2024. Yay! That was good. And his next hearing is in February of 2032.
Oh, wow.
So he's got a couple more years. Raber is incarcerated at the Ohio Reformatory for Women, and she's eligible for parole in June of 2032. And what that means is because Eli got rejected, they'll both be getting out within a couple months of each other if they both get out during their next parole hearing.
How old are they? Because she looks real old. And I'm thinking, like, is she going to die before this?
No, she... I think, so, I don't know their exact age, like, birth date wise. I know Barbara was 30 in 2009. So, she's probably 47.
That's it?
47.
She looks like she's at least, like, 65.
That's a rough 47, man.
Like, he
Yeah.
looks like, typical middle age. But she looks
Yeah, he looks like 47, 48.
She looks like an old woman.
I mean, she's not the Mennonite beauty of the night. He's the Amish stud. Of course he
Yeah.
looks better. He's never been in a relationship where he wasn't the handsome
He
one.
looks Amish. She doesn't look Mennonite.
Well, she was kind of more ex-Mennonite, like living a more normal life.
okay.
That's why she had the cell phone and computer and drove people around.
I was like, she's not really looking her part.
I mean, to be fair, Mennonite has a lot of variation.
There's a lot of variation in that.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to talk about someone who, not next, but later, someone who thought that old order Amish were too liberal.
Oh, wow.
That's what that creepy looking guy from the start was. Who could have guessed he thought being old order Amish meant you were too liberal and hip? Too for the times.
Wow.
A little too seen. Let me just say, he would have made Jakob Amon proud. But our next one is more of... I don't know that I'm going to do a good job telling it, but I want to, because it's a really interesting story, and I had to kind of think about whether to go chronologically or the order things actually happened. And I'm going to kind of tell it in reverse order, the story. I think that'll be the most interesting way. Also, there are people who might be old enough to remember this case. I'm not. Not even close. So, but it was a very famous case for a little while. But there's stuff that I think those people who might remember won't have known because a lot of new stuff has come to light since this loser got what he deserved. But it's a very sad case here. So that little kid, I'll start with Chuck Cleveland, was driving on December 24th, 1985, Christmas Eve. And it was in Chester, Nebraska. He was driving along the very wide open roads of Chester, Nebraska. And he spotted a flash of color out in the middle of one of the fields. He thought maybe someone had left some trash or something. Maybe it was a blanket or something. And he pulled his truck over and went out into a frozen cornfield. And out in the cornfield, he found a young boy's body. The kid you're seeing to the left and in the upper corner. He was dressed in blue pajamas with matching blue socks and a heavy coat on. He had no identification, obviously.
Yeah.
There was no clues, no missing child reports in the entire tri-state area. Sheriff Gary Caspers was called to the scene from Thayer County Sheriff. He became the boy's surrogate father, vowing that the child wouldn't remain unknown. The town of Chester paid for his funeral and gave him the name Matthew. And they vowed that they would also assist the sheriff in any way they could to find out who this missing boy was.
Mm-hmm.
And it made national news headlines calling him Little Boy Blue. For 2 years, no one had any idea who this kid was. Just a cute little kid wearing blue pajamas and a heavy coat, found frozen to death in the middle of a cornfield.
So that the picture on the left, or actually both pictures of him,
Were from when he was alive, yeah.
and that's after they found out who he was.
Yes, yeah. Retroactively, we
So
do
was
find out.
he, like, there wasn't any signs that, like, he was killed. He just froze to death. That's how he
They
died?
they didn't know how he died. There was
Okay.
they didn't, this was in 1985, and his body had been out there, and they didn't know how long it had been out there. And due to the cold and freeze snaps
Yeah.
and stuff, Nebraskan weather, they couldn't really tell whether he had died of natural causes, or maybe strangulation was put forward as an idea later, or maybe he died of illness, but whatever it was, they didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can see on his tombstone there, little boy abandoned, found near Chester, Nebraska. The date and the name that eventually comes out is on there too. So there's a complete stall on who this kid is for the 2 years. Caspers, the sheriff, follows hundreds of leads from across the U.S. entirely.
Wow.
He sent out things to other sheriff's departments, searched missing child records, and it seems like the kid dropped out of the sky somewhere. Like
Yeah.
there's no kid missing that matches his description anywhere in the country. And then in December 1987, Reader's Digest put forth a 2-year anniversary of the finding of Little Boy Blue.
Mm-hmm.
And a woman, Kim Elms, was a foster mother in Wyoming. And she sees the composite sketch of the kid and recognized that little kid is Danny Stutzman. So the police start looking around for Danny's father, Eli Stutzman.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to say my name on the air, but it's been a rough day for Eli's. we're 2 for 2 on really bad Eli's. Eli Stutzman is living in Texas. For those of you who are not familiar with geography, very, very far
Yeah.
from Nebraska. Eli is an Amish man who left the community years and years ago. And Sheriff Gary Caspers sits down for an interview. And he says, I know, why ever you did this, I know you know what happened to your son.
Yeah.
So what happened to your son? And Eli said that they were driving all over the country back in 1985. Just driving from place to place. Never staying in one place for very long. And Eli had a respiratory infection or a throat infection, or Danny did, and was getting very ill. But Eli didn't stop. And then Danny died from this infection. And Eli panicked that people would think it was his fault. So he decided to dump the body in the middle of a field because that would make him less suspicious. To quote Eli, he said, I just panicked. I wanted God to take care of him. Because the body was frozen and then decomposed after however many months of being left, they couldn't prove any foul play. So Eli only gets charged with concealing a death and abandonment of a body. But then Casper starts digging into Eli's past because he rightfully is asking the question you're thinking.
Yeah.
If your son was that ill, why didn't you stop at a hospital or something? And also, why is a guy who used to be Amish just driving all over the country back and forth?
Yeah.
And not staying in one place? And this is 1987 and turning into 1988. And as the investigation into Eli Stutzman continues, they find out that there might have been... his crimes might go back more than a decade.
Oh, wow.
So, in May of 1985, a few months before Eli would have dumped Danny's body in that field in Nebraska, Eli was in Austin, Texas, and his roommate, Glenn Pritchett, was found in a ditch, shot in the head with a .22. So, the police questioned Eli, and soon after he was released from questioning, he traveled to Colorado and then to Wyoming. And it would have been around this time that he would have dumped Danny's body. And so he was traveling all over the place during this time, trying to avoid getting picked up by the police for more questioning into connection to his roommate getting shot to death. Also in Durango, Colorado, in November of 1985 and early December of 1985, which would have been the month before Danny was found, a guy named David Tyler was found in a truck bed with blunt force trauma to the head, murdered. And also in Durango, Colorado, Dennis Slater was shot in the back room of a liquor store with a .22 caliber that matched the one that was used in Glenn Pritchett's murder. Now, they couldn't confirm that it was the same gun, but it was the same model of gun. Because, again, forensics at this time wouldn't have been as precise. Now, Detective Mike Hall was from the Durango Police Department. And upon hearing some of this has interested him quite a bit. He's tracked Eli to the Blue Moon Bar. The Blue Moon Bar is a gay bar. And he finds out that David Tyler, the one who was found in the truck bed with blunt force trauma, was gay and had at least some connection to a gay man who had been putting out televised ads calling himself Amish Gay Man, advertising his looks and general appearance. So the guy in the top left corner is Glenn Pritchett, the roommate who was shot. Yeah. And then the other ones are of a body from Durango is the one going into the hearse, and then it is Eli being arrested and Eli's mugshot down below after quite a while. So this can show the two, I guess, Eli's involved. There was one who was putting out ads in the Advocate, trying to attract men, and involvement in the gay bar scene, and also the guy who was with the Amish beard and had a kid. But anyway,
and
he was never
the same.
But it's the same Eli. It's the same person. I mean, as in, like, he had two very different personalities to some extent. Okay. Yeah,
I was about to say, I thought they were the same person.
No, they're the same person. Two Eli's, like, he was very different than what he would have looked like, because he was a heavy drug user. And that might be his connection with Dennis Slater. There's not as much connection, but Slater and Tyler knew each other in Durango. Yeah. And then Tyler and Eli definitely knew each other. And so Eli was a heavy drug user as well, including, like, sharing needles. Yeah. He had a HIV when tested, as well as a few other STDs or STIs. And anyway, he was extradited back to Texas, and from when he was interviewed about the little boy Blue. And in 1989, he gets convicted of murdering Glenn Pritchett and is sentenced to 40 years in jail. Wow. Now, I said this might go back 10 years. And that's because in July of 1977, Ida A. Stutzman, wife of Eli Stutzman in rural Dalton, died in a fire. There was no investigation into whether this was a murder or not, but an author who wrote about the little boy blue thing has done a lot of investigation into this. So there was a barn fire at the Stutzman farm early in the morning, and Eli's pregnant wife was found dead inside the barn. She wasn't burned that badly, though she did have soot. And the coroner, who was a friend to the Amish community, did a cursory exam and ruled it natural causes. The claim was that she ran into the fire to save the milking equipment, and then either died of smoke inhalation or had her heart give out from the stress.
Mm-hmm.
Now, after examining this case a little bit, they found out that Ida was wearing her daytime clothing. And now the way, not a nightgown.
Yeah.
Which means either she got up because of the fire and took all the time to change clothes before running into the barn.
Yeah.
Or she was wearing daytime clothes when she wound up in the barn, which wouldn't have been that early in the morning, potentially. Another thing is that her lungs didn't have soot in them. So she might not have been breathing once the fire was started. And then there were over 300 letters that Eli had sent from prison to his relatives, including his sister-in-law. And one of these letters has, and I quote, the line, "Ida was a saint who could not live in the world I was creating." Eli, as soon as his wife had died, took his son Danny and started going around from gay bar to gay bar. They started a retroactive, I guess, investigation. Also reveals that he left the Amish community early in the 70s, in 1972, and came back in either 74 or 75 to marry Ida. So he was in love with her, left, came back to try to marry her, married her, lived the Amish life till 77. The fire happens, she dies.
And then he left again.
And he left again with his son, traveling around living a very anti-Amish lifestyle. And then convicted of murdering his roommate, traveled with his son, potentially murdered 2 other people while traveling who were also involved in the drug scene and gay bar scene that he was in, and then dumped his son's body while on the run from the interviews about murdering his roommate.
Yeah.
Which means he's only been convicted of the 1 murder so far, but he may have been the first Amish/ex-Amish serial killer. So he served 16 years of his 40-year sentence until in 2005, his HIV-related complications and rampant cocaine addiction, which he was struggling with while in prison, and myriad of health problems, got him out, essentially. And he struggled with his drug addiction for the next 2 years, and then killed himself by slitting his wrists on January 31st, 2007, in his Fort Worth apartment.
Wow.
He never confessed to murdering Ida, Tyler, or Slater, and the Tyler and Slater cases in Colorado remain unsolved to this day because DNA at the scene has not been able to have a match identified.
Yeah.
Now, another one of his quotes from his letters is what I'd leave this case with. "I'm tired of the lies, but the truth is something none of you are prepared to hear." So, yeah, this guy, I don't know, it's a crazy story.
Yeah.
I don't know, right?
There's a lot to it and you don't expect it.
No, it goes back like so extensively.
Yeah.
And yeah, the fire, it's a very interesting story.
Yeah.
I don't like speculating on things that like professional investigators haven't said. Though obviously they can't convict him because he's dead now. But yeah, he as more stuff has been turned up about the wife's autopsy, it to my mind sounds like he killed her, started a fire to cover it so that he didn't because maybe he didn't want to have another kid.
Yeah.
Didn't want to get stuck into the Amish lifestyle. But yeah, he's it's probably those Colorado cases will probably never be truly solved. So
Wow.
and now our last story of the day. This fellow, and that is a photograph, a real one.
Wow.
The one in the background.
Oh, it is?
Yes, that is not a portrayal or anything. That is a real photograph from our final case. The case of Sam Mullet. But to tell the true story of Sam Mullet, we first have to start with the story of the beard. We have a bearded guest here. It's not, but it's a fashion choice. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah. In the Amish culture, a beard is not a fashion choice. It is rather a sacred marker of religious status and who you are in the community. So when Amish couples get married, they don't exchange rings because rings would be a little too seen. Instead, a man has to stop shaving the day he marries, and the beard becomes his wedding ring. It's a permanent symbol of his commitment to his wife and to his role as the head of the household, following the religious community. They interpret Leviticus 19:27 very literally, which is, "Ye shall not round the corners of your heads, neither shalt thou mar the corners of thy beard." So to cut thy beard is to disobey God. It's also a symbol of peace. They grow beards and shave their mustaches because soldiers have mustaches. And as we know, most Amish people have seen Top Gun and the remake, or the sequel, and they understand that Goose has a great mustache. No, they probably haven't seen those movies, but they are correct. A lot of military people, is very popular to wear mustaches.
Yeah.
And so by cutting the beard, the Amish person is rejecting their status as, a man of the community dedicated to the Amish lifestyle, which is why our other guy, the one we just talked about, Eli Stutzman,
He didn't have a beard.
he didn't have a beard once he left.
Yeah.
And then women have to grow their hair from the long hair is the glory. Yeah, which I think 1 Corinthians. I forgot to check that one. I'm supposed to remember that one. I did that one in quiz. Just bleep that part. They never cut their hair from birth to death, for those who are wondering. And so if they were cutting their hair, it would be again a sign of spiritual lapsing. And being an Amish man with a clean-shaven face means you're unmarried. And if you're an elder or a bishop and you had a clean-shaven face, you wouldn't be respected at all. So that's just to give us a little bit of perspective on how important beards are in the community. So Samuel Mullet was born at some point in 1946. Some could say he was Adolf Hitler in Amish form. He was a charismatic leader, not a troubled youth, and described as a protective member of the family. He's a prominent member of an Amish family. And in 1995, so he was 49 years old, he moved his family to Bergholz, Ohio, to escape what he viewed as the liberalism of the mainstream Old Order Amish.
Oh my goodness.
So he had an 800-acre farm and established a settlement that would eventually house 120 people, most of whom were his own children and their families. After being ordained as a bishop in 2001, his leadership started to shift a little bit. And he went from saying very strict things to essentially being a full-fledged dictator / cult leader. And this is 1946, just saying. He was born 1946. Timeline works. It's very, this guy's weird. So, in around 2006, so again, now he's 60 years old when this is all going, like when it all starts.
Yeah.
2006, all the families on this 800-acre farm he had that he thought questioned his rules too much, he completely excommunicated. And then 300 Amish elders from across the state met and decided to nullify his excommunications. Because as a bishop, he had the authority to excommunicate people.
Yeah.
He started excommunicating people from the Amish church. Those people started going to other Amish leaders and saying, hey, why am I being excommunicated? I'm just saying we shouldn't have to sleep in a 4x6 chicken coop. And I'll explain more of what he did. But they were like, we were just questioning these very crazy things. And these leaders were like, you shouldn't have been excommunicated. He's no longer a bishop. He took it as a declaration of war from the Amish community on him. And it led to the Amish Campaign of Terror. So by 2011, he had started having a hit squad that would target defectors, those who left his community farm, or supported the elders who had stripped him of his bishop title.
Yeah.
So, September 6th, 2011, Marty and Barbara Miller, which was Mullet's own daughter and son-in-law. They were attacked and shorn with horse shears. Her hair was cut and his beard was cut. September 24th, 2011, Myron and Arlene Miller were attacked at night, and Myron's beard was shaved to his skin. David and Elizabeth Wingard were attacked on October 4th, 2011. So these are all happening in rapid succession, like only a week or two apart for a lot of them. Raiders broke into their home while they slept and shaved them with horse shears. And then October 4th, 2011, Raymond and Linda Schrock, who were parents of one of the raiders, were targeted for disloyalty. So he had such a good hold on the people in his community that he was able to get them to go after their own family members for not supporting him. For executing these raids, the Amish attackers couldn't use a getaway horse and buggy. So they would hire taxis from the English, who I should have said earlier when I cited English, in case you haven't heard our last episode, which it's more than likely you haven't. We have the English is a term the Amish use for any non-Amish person. So these guys unknowingly became getaway drivers for this. Now, the attackers were not masked, and they would tell victims, Sam Mullet sent us.
Bruh.
Oh my.
And because they were worried potentially about, someone not knowing who did this, they also decided to photograph all their crimes as they did them, which is why we have this photo of him holding an old man down and shaving his beard with horse shears, or getting ready to. So they found that they had disposable cameras, which was a big no-no in the Amish community. So this guy thought the Amish community was too liberal, but he kept disposable cameras because this guy was not an Amish community guy. Yeah. He was just a straight-up cult leader who used the fact that these people were Amish to get... genuinely. He was like, the Amish are too liberal, but also we're going to photo this so I can see that we're tormenting people like this. So this is the photo of defendant Johnny Mullet, who was one of Sam Mullet's relatives, holding down a 79-year-old bishop while preparing to cut it. And that photo in the background there was the main piece of the prosecution's case. Johnny Mast, one of Mullet's grandchildren, broke the code of silence to testify against him and provided the most detailed accounts of the life inside the compound. And this all came to light during the trial. So, Mullet gained total devotion through psychological manipulation and divine hierarchy. And he had something called chicken coop punishments, which he had for the primary method of breaking the will of the men in his community. So they would sleep in a 5x6 foot wooden chicken coop, which was uninsulated and often still had chicken feces and other junk in it. They were filthy. Confinement could last for a few days and sometimes over a week. One man, Levi Miller, who was involved in this, testified that he was kept in a coop for 12 consecutive days. in one of these 5x6 chicken coops.
Wow.
These punishments were triggered by disobedience or sins, as defined by Sam Mullet. For example, a group of men was forced into the coops after one of the women in the community accused them of looking at non-Amish women for too long while they were out shopping. While in the coops, they were often forced to perform voluntary hair and beard clippings on themselves to prove their repentance. So they had to shave themselves to essentially restart. Because you could imagine, the longer your beard's grown, the more it shows that you've been like a man for a long time.
Yeah.
And so they had to essentially restart their place in the community, because you would naturally think the guy with the long beard has been a minister for longer and stuff like that. The other thing he did was sexual counseling. This was the most shocking moment of the trial for a lot of the public, and why the case got so notable to some extent, because he claimed that he had a unique spiritual power to cleanse women of the devil through intimacy. Mullet was a very strange fella.
Bruh.
And when you look at his face there, don't you just think, man, that guy's a handsome guy.
Oh my goodness.
He framed this as marital counseling that would help their husbands deal with spiritual or mental struggles. And Nancy Mullet, his own daughter-in-law, gave a tearful account of her ordeal. After her husband suffered with a mental breakdown, Sam told her that the only way to save him was for her to live at his house. And then it began with strange requests for hugs and kisses, which are virtually unheard of between a father-in-law and daughter-in-law in Amish culture. And then Mullet's own wife or daughters would go and be sent to her room at night to fetch her and bring her into Sam's bedroom. When Nancy tried to refuse, he held a group meeting with her and other leaders of the community, in which she was told that, "I don't understand why you don't obey me, the other ladies do." And other women nodded in agreement, confirming that they had also participated in his counseling. So this guy was messed up. And the son that suffered the mental breakdown, what do you think his name was?
Sam?
No.
Eli?
Eli! We're 3 for 3.
Oh my goodness.
So Nancy and Eli fled the compound in 2008 with only a few suitcases and their children. And Mullet at the trial called her a whore.
Bruh.
Sam Mullet, not Eli Mullet. He was chill. This isn't okay, Eli. It's just a rough life for him too.
Yeah.
So it became a big legal battle, the U.S. versus Sam Mullet, as U.S. attorneys Stephen Dettelbach and Bridget Brennan prosecuted the case. And you might be wondering, why did I say U.S. attorneys and not Ohio State attorneys? It's because he was charged federally and the FBI investigated the crimes.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Because of the beard cutting. The beard is a religious symbol in the Amish community.
Yeah.
So attacking it to get at Amish community members for not following his rules constitutes a hate crime. And so the U.S. attorneys that prosecuted the case used the Matthew Shepard and James Byrd Jr. Hate Crimes Prevention Act to prosecute these crimes. And all 16 defendants, Mullet and the conspirators who went into the beard-cutting frenzies, were convicted, and Mullet received 15 years in jail.
Wow.
And this was in 2012 when the verdict was passed. And again, he was born in 1946.
Yeah.
So
He's old.
Old feller. And then the thing was, in 1914, he had an appeal issued. And it was quite an interesting appeal. Basically, what he argued was that it wasn't a hate crime because I'm just a bad person. He wasn't shaving their beard because he hated them for their religious practices. He was shaving their beard because he liked having power over people.
That doesn't make it any better.
It might not sound like it makes it better. But a higher court, upon hearing it, overturned his conviction for a hate crime, citing faulty instructions to the jury. They ruled that the prosecution had to prove that that he wouldn't have committed the crimes if they weren't Amish. And
so dumb.
he said the essentially they argued, legally speaking, his attacks could have been motivated by a family squabble and would have happened whether it was a hate crime or not. So they didn't prove it's a hate crime. Now, the thing is, they prosecuted him again because it was still a crime.
Yeah.
And he received 10 years and 9 months. Now, as he got older, he was released to home confinement in 2020, and then in 2021 he finished his home confinement because they didn't want to keep an 80-plus-year-old sitting in jail. But this case had a very strange impact, and it's also a very recent case based on the timelines. And it's the idea was the case forced the Amish community to do something that they normally wouldn't, which was engage with the legal system without being forced to.
Yeah.
Because they didn't know how else to deal with him having raiders going around clipping people's beards. Which is awesome. Sorry. It's very traumatic for the people who had it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's very funny to think about that being 15 years in jail. Now, some of the other stuff, he was a weirdo, but still, it's his community though remains completely isolated still, and they remain loyal to him even after the conviction and view him as a sort of martyr in the community.
Really?
That's crazy.
Yeah, so his cult powers were strong enough to...
But he's out now.
He's out now.
Is he back with his community?
Is he still alive?
I don't know if he's allowed to be yet. I think it's part of his probation is that you can't engage. It kind of like if you ever get out on drug charges, you're just because you're out doesn't mean you can go back and do everything again. I'm sure a condition on his release was you can't go back and run your cult again. So I'm sure he's out of burg holes. The clarification on the Hate Crime Act, though, now has become into federal law. That it's now a primary case study in law schools saying that you have to prove that they wouldn't have committed the crime, but for the hate.
Yeah.
It has to be, so it can't be a bunch of motives. It has to be the primary driving factor behind a crime. And then... But it also kind of did another thing for this, which is it recognized that a hate crime can happen in the same religion. Yeah. Based on different interpretations of things. So I want to just go through some of the quotes from Johnny Mast. He had the most probably emotional quotes about the trial because he was Mullet's grandson and got to see up close how he led everything. So about the atmosphere of fear that he had in the community. We were told that if we didn't follow Sam, we were going to hell. He was the only one who could save us. When he told us to cut the beards, we didn't think of it as a crime. We thought of it as a cleansing. We were his tools. Talking about the victims after they did it. I saw them crying. I saw the look in their eyes. It wasn't just hair, it was their dignity. And we were taking it because one man told us they didn't deserve it anymore. He was asked why he, finally decided to go public with all of his information. He said, I couldn't live with the secrets anymore. I realized the love Sam talked about was actually just control. So, yeah, that was, I guess, kind of an interesting... It's such a crazy case, but even the judge and the sheriff and everyone, Sheriff Fred Abdallah, from who was over the county where the burg holes community was at, gave this quote. I've seen a lot of things in my years as sheriff, but seeing grown men shaking, crying, and missing chunks of their hair and beard, done to them by their own blood, was one of the most pathetic sights I've witnessed. And said, Sam's mullet didn't need to pick up the shears. He sat on his porch and pulled the strings. He knew exactly what he was doing. Yeah. It was originally a very funny case when I first heard about it because I was like, the FBI investigated a guy for cutting people's hair. Yeah. But it was like a crazy cult that he was leading with chicken coops and his own daughter-in-law that he was sexually assaulting, and like
Yeah.
it's unbelievable. So yeah, that is the sum total of Amish Anthology. This is the other part where we covered the Stud killer and his lovely lady that was worth murdering for, who murdered for him.
Very lovely lady.
Love finds a way. The very messed up Eli Stutzman, who was a weirdo who potentially, counting his victims, killed his roommate, 2 guys in Durango, his own son, and his own wife, who
I
was
was thinking
pregnant.
4. It's actually, it would be 5.
And his wife was pregnant at the time.
So then, yeah.
Oh, wow.
So it's crazy. And then Sam Mullet, who he was a guy. He was there. He. So the Amish community might have a lot more going on than you knew.
Yeah.
Be sure to check out Misfit History for more crazy history like this. I don't know what we're recording next, but we'll have some great episodes coming your way. Check out the feed on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, anywhere you get your podcasts, you can listen or watch. Be sure to leave a rating, a review, subscribe, like. It all helps push us up where we can fight the algorithm.
We need all the help we can get.
We need a lot of help. Dude, this studio, we've got we need some financing. Let me tell you. Let me tell you. My computer is running on empty right now. So I think, stay tuned. We've got a good list of episodes coming. And if you like this type of content or want to request a specific style of story, that's what happened with this. We had Amish specifically requested. So leave a comment. We read them and cry if they're bad.